What if I told you that a chance meeting in a dark parking garage at 3 a.m. would save 2 dying children and change hundreds of lives forever? James Chen sat in his rusted Toyota, completely broken. 3 spaces away, a woman in a Mercedes was falling apart. Neither knew their lives were about to change forever. This is their true story. It was 2 a.m. in a hospital parking garage. James pressed his forehead against the steering wheel, wondering how he'd tell his kids there'd be no dinner tomorrow. His 12-year-old son Lucas was dying from a rare heart condition. The surgery cost $340,000. James had $1,800 in savings. Then he heard it, desperate crying echoing through the concrete walls. James got out of his car and followed the sound. There, in a black Mercedes, sat a woman in expensive clothes, mascara running down her face. She looked like she had everything, but James recognized that despair. He knew that pain. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. The woman looked up, surprised that a stranger would care. "Nobody can help with this," she whispered. They talked. Her name was Rachel. Her 15-year-old daughter Victoria was upstairs, dying from stage 4 leukemia. Even with all her money, even with the best doctors, the treatments weren't working. "My son is upstairs too," James said quietly. "I've been sitting in my car for 2 hours trying to figure out how to tell my kids I'm failing them. 2 strangers, 2 dying children. 2 parents with nothing left but each other's understanding." "Coffee?" James asked. "It's terrible, but it's hot." That night changed everything. They sat in the hospital cafeteria at 3 a.m., sharing their stories, their fears, their love for their children. Rachel told him about Victoria's dream of becoming a doctor. James showed her Lucas's drawings of superheroes. "He drew me with a cape," James said, voice breaking. He wrote, "Dad is the strongest superhero because he never gives up." "You haven't given up," Rachel said firmly. "You're here. You're fighting." For the first time in months, neither of them felt alone. Over the next 6 weeks, they met every night in that cafeteria. James worked double shifts at a warehouse. Rachel ran a business. She was vague about the details. They became each other's lifeline. 2 people bonded by impossible circumstances. Then came the devastating news. James's insurance denied the final appeal. "It's over," he told Rachel, hands shaking. "Lucas has maybe 6 months. I'm out of options." Rachel went home to her mansion that night. Yes, a mansion, and made a decision that would change everything. 3 days later, James got a mysterious phone call. A foundation he'd never heard of wanted to help. 1 week later, a letter arrived. They would cover Lucas's entire surgery. All $340,000. No strings attached. James called Rachel, crying. "It's a miracle," he sobbed. They said yes. Lucas is getting his surgery. Rachel closed her office door and cried too. Because she'd created that foundation. She'd pulled every string she had. She'd saved Lucas's life. But James didn't know any of this. Not yet. Lucas's surgery was perfect. 12 hours of delicate work. But he came through strong. James was overwhelmed with gratitude. He had to find out who saved his son. He investigated. He followed leads. And slowly the pieces fell into place. The foundation had been created 3 months ago. It had funded exactly 1 case. Lucas Chen. The address led to a law firm for Morrison Industries. James looked up the company leadership. And there she was, Rachel Morrison, CEO. Net worth, over $200 million. His boss's 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 boss. And the woman he'd been sharing coffee with for months. James didn't show up to the cafeteria for 3 nights. Rachel texted him, worried. But he needed time to process. Had she been lying the whole time? Playing games with him? On the 3rd night, he finally went back. Rachel Morrison, he said quietly. CEO of Morrison Industries. Owner of the warehouse where I work for $17 an hour. Rachel went pale. Let me explain. You've been lying to me for months. I didn't lie, she protested. That first night when you found me crying, I was at my lowest point. You showed me genuine kindness. Not because you wanted something, not because you knew who I was, but because you saw another human being in pain. Tears filled her eyes. You saw me as just Rachel, a scared mom, not the CEO, not the billionaire, just me. And I was so afraid that if you knew who I was, everything would change. The foundation, James said. You created it for Lucas. Yes, I couldn't watch your son die when I had the means to help. But I knew you'd never accept money from me directly. Your pride wouldn't allow it. You're right, James admitted. I wouldn't have. So I made it look legitimate, Rachel continued. I pulled every string to get his surgery approved. But I should have told you. I know it was wrong. James was quiet. Then he asked, Victoria's treatment? Rachel's face lit up. It's working. The tumor is shrinking. That's wonderful, James said. And he meant it. James went home and talked to his daughter Emma. So this rich lady paid for Lucas's surgery and you're mad? Emma asked. She lied to me. She saved Lucas's life, Dad. Would you have accepted her help if you knew she was rich? No. Exactly. She knew your pride would get in the way of saving your brother. Emma took his hand. Dad, she gave us our family back. Does it really matter how it happened? The next night, James went back. I'm sorry, Rachel started. Don't be, James interrupted. You saved my son's life, and you did it in a way that preserved my dignity. No more secrets, but we're okay. Rachel smiled with relief. Deal. Although, James added with a grin, if you own Morrison Industries, why is the break room vending machine broken? Rachel laughed. I'll have that fixed tomorrow. 3 weeks later, James was promoted to warehouse supervisor with a significant raise. His own supervisor had recommended him. Rachel hadn't interfered. You deserve it, Rachel told him. Now stop letting your pride get in the way. Their friendship deepened. Rachel started visiting the warehouse, not as CEO but as someone who genuinely cared about her workers. She implemented better health insurance, emergency funds, childcare support. You're making me look good, James joked. You're making me better, Rachel said seriously. You've shown me what real leadership looks like. 1 year after their first meeting, Rachel made an announcement. She was establishing the Lucas and Victoria Foundation with $50 million to help families facing catastrophic medical costs. And James Chen would be joining the board of directors. Under their leadership, Morrison Industries became one of the best companies to work for. They implemented profit sharing, created advancement pathways, and pioneered a program where workers could earn free college degrees. Emma graduated and joined the foundation, helping other desperate families. Lucas created an art program for hospitalized children. Victoria got into medical school to become a pediatric oncologist. I want to be the doctor I needed when I was sick, she said. 5 years later, they broke ground on the Morrison Children's Medical Center. a facility that would provide free treatment regardless of ability to pay. "You did this," James told Rachel. "We did this," she corrected. "Your kindness started everything." 10 years after that first meeting, James and Rachel sat in the same hospital cafeteria. But this time, they were visiting another father who'd been sitting alone in the parking garage, head in his hands. They offered him coffee, told him he wasn't alone. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't stopped that night?" James asked. "I don't wonder," Rachel said. "I know. I would have given up. You saved me, James. Before I saved Lucas, before any of this, you saved me just by caring." "We saved each other," James said. "That's what people do." In the parking garage, another man sat in his car, wondering how he'd survive the night. James and Rachel walked toward him, because they understood something that can only be learned through suffering and grace. Sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply notice another person's pain and say, "You're not alone." This is the power of one act of kindness, one moment of compassion, one stranger who decides to care. It doesn't matter if you're driving a rusted Toyota or a Mercedes. Beneath all the differences, we're all just people trying to protect the ones we love. And sometimes, that simple act of human kindness can change everything. Not just for them, for you too. If this story touched your heart, subscribe for more true stories that will restore your faith in humanity. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it today. And remember, you never know when your small act of kindness might save someone's life. Thank you for watching.